Genghis Khan's most savage torture practices that crossed all limits. Stars stretched endlessly, their cold light reflecting off the polished panels around him. The ship was quiet now, but Aaron knew that soon, every system would hum with activity. The crew of the Indomitable were not just explorers. They were the first human delegation to the frontier planet of Zarkos, a world notorious across the galaxy for its strange landscapes, complex politics, and alien warlords. Aaron had been nicknamed Khan by his crew months ago. Not because he ruled over anyone like a tyrant, but because of his relentless determination. No problem was too complex, no strategy too tangled. He had the same spirit as the great leaders of history, those who had conquered not just land, but challenges that seemed impossible. Now that spirit would be tested in ways he had never imagined. The captain turned to the crew. "We are entering Zarko's orbit in 30 minutes. I need everyone prepared for the unexpected," he said. His voice was calm but firm. "This planet is known for being unpredictable. Stay alert and trust in your training." Lieutenant Mara Singh, the ship's navigation officer, nodded. "Captain, sensors are picking up multiple atmospheric anomalies. Storms are forming over the southern hemisphere, and there's a strong magnetic field interfering with communications." Aaron frowned slightly. "Noted. We will adjust the entry path. Keep scanning for stable zones. I want to avoid any surprises on landing." Behind them, the bridge hummed with quiet activity. Crew members monitored holographic displays, their fingers dancing across panels as they adjusted shields, mapped gravitational fields, and tracked orbital debris. Each person was aware that Zarkos was unlike any planet humans had ever visited. It wasn't just the alien species or the harsh landscapes. It was the strategy and intelligence of its inhabitants. Rumors spoke of warlords who could outthink entire armies, who designed systems and environments that tested mind and body alike, and humanity was about to step into that arena. Aaron took a deep breath. His mind flashed back to the council briefing a month ago. The United Earth Council had been clear. Zarkos cannot be negotiated with in the usual way. Its leaders respect strength, intelligence, and unpredictability. They do not respond to threats, only to challenges that test skill and wit. "Strength and wit," Aaron murmured. He glanced around at his crew. "That's our advantage. The human's greatest strength has always been our ability to think, to adapt. On this planet, we have to show that again." Mara's voice broke the silence. "Captain, I'm detecting multiple artificial structures on the surface." "They're massive. Could they be fortresses?" Aaron's eyes narrowed. "Possibly, or training grounds. Remember, the warlords of Zarkos are known for extreme trials. We need to assume that every structure, every landscape feature could be designed to test intruders. And we are, for now, intruders." The ship entered the upper atmosphere, the view outside becoming a swirling mix of colors as Zarkos' storms danced across the planet. The planet was breathtaking. Mountains taller than any on Earth, rivers that glowed faintly with bioluminescent minerals, and plains that shimmered like mirrors under the twin suns. But beauty could be deceptive. Aaron knew that every curve of the terrain might hide a puzzle, every valley a challenge. "Captain," said Lieutenant Jairo Tanaka, the communications officer, "I'm trying to reach the surface stations, but the magnetic interference is strong." "We might not be able to communicate until we land." Aaron nodded. "Understood. That makes the landing more critical. We need a safe zone first, then we can assess the situation." The descent was tense. The Indomitable shook as it passed through thick clouds and shifting winds. The crew remained calm, a result of rigorous training and confidence in their captain. Humans were not the fastest species in the galaxy, nor the strongest. But their adaptability, their ability to cooperate and innovate, had allowed them to survive and thrive where others had failed. Aaron trusted that trait implicitly. Finally, the ship broke through the clouds. Below lay a vast plateau, dotted with strange crystalline formations and the structures that Gyro had detected. The land was almost entirely clear of hazards, though small geysers of glowing gas erupted intermittently. The landing was tricky, but Aaron's experience guided them safely. The crew exhaled collectively as the Indomitable touched down. The engines powered down, leaving only the hum of life support systems and the occasional creak of the hull adjusting to the alien environment. "Prepare the landing teams," Aaron said. "We step out in 5 minutes. Standard protocols, full scans, environmental suits, and alert for any traps or unexpected activity." On the surface, the air shimmered slightly. Though breathable, it carried a faint metallic scent. The team stepped out cautiously. The landscape stretched in all directions, beautiful and strange, but also imposing. The crystalline towers reflected the sunlight in sharp, dazzling patterns. Somewhere beyond the horizon, Aaron knew, the alien warlords watched, studying every movement. Mara adjusted her scanner. "Captain, there's a pattern to the formations in the valley ahead, almost like a maze. The structures seem deliberately placed to create paths and dead ends." "This could be a test." Aaron smiled faintly. "Exactly what we expected. The warlords don't just fight. They design systems to challenge the mind and the team. We have to navigate this carefully. Remember, we are not here to conquer with brute force. We are here to demonstrate human intelligence, cooperation, and adaptability." The crew moved forward cautiously, their boots crunching against the alien soil. Every step was deliberate, every scan precise. The plateau was quiet, but Aaron knew silence did not mean safety. Every shadow could be part of a test, every structure a puzzle designed to assess intruders. Hours passed as the team navigated the crystalline maze. They encountered shifting panels that changed direction depending on weight, strange energy fields that required careful timing to pass, and puzzles embedded into the structures themselves, holographic locks, sequences of lights, and strange symbols. Each challenge tested patience, observation, and logic. Aaron observed his crew closely. They adapted quickly, improvising solutions when standard protocols failed. Mara deciphered the holographic locks with an algorithm she devised on the spot. Gyro mapped the energy fields and predicted their shifts before they could trap the team. Even the youngest cadet, Lena, spotted patterns in the light sequences that others had missed. By the end of the first day, they had reached the center of the maze. Here, a massive structure rose into the sky, a tower of clear crystal glowing faintly from within. It was both beautiful and intimidating. Aaron knew this was no ordinary building. It was a symbol, a test, and perhaps a message. "This is it," Aaron said quietly. "Whatever comes next, we handle it as we always do. Together, using our minds, our creativity, and our ability to adapt. That is humanity's true strength." As the sun set behind the crystal tower, casting long, colorful shadows across the plateau, Aaron looked to the stars. Zarkos was a world of extreme challenges, designed to test intelligence, patience, and cooperation. But he felt no fear. Humanity had survived impossible odds before. On this alien planet, facing warlords and puzzles beyond imagination, they would do it again. The night fell, and the stars above reflected in the crystalline formations, creating a landscape both alien and strangely familiar. For the first time since leaving Earth, Aaron felt a thrill he had not felt in years, the thrill of true exploration, of facing the unknown, and of proving that even in a galaxy full of powerful species, humanity had something that could never be matched: ingenuity, courage, and the will to rise above any challenge. Tomorrow, the real tests would begin. But for now, the humans had stepped onto Zarkos not as conquerors, but as learners, observers, and problem solvers. And in that moment, Aaron knew that no matter what the alien warlords had planned, humanity's spirit was ready. The morning light on Zarkos fell over the crystalline plateau, casting long, refracted shadows that danced across the landscape. Captain Aaron Khan stood at the edge of the plateau, looking out at the tower they had reached the day before. Its glowing walls pulsed faintly, as if alive, and Aaron knew the tower was more than a structure. It was a message, a challenge. He turned to his crew who had gathered behind him, still adjusting to the alien environment. "Today is not about speed," he said. "It is about observation, analysis, and learning. This planet doesn't just test strength. It tests intelligence, patience, and the way we work together. Every step we take, every decision we make matters." Mara Singh, the ship's navigation officer, adjusted her scanner. "Captain, I've analyzed the maze from yesterday. I see patterns. The energy fields and holographic locks are not random. They follow specific sequences, almost like language." Aaron nodded. "Exactly. The warlords here don't leave anything to chance. Everything is planned, calculated, and designed to see if we can think beyond instinct. We have to do more than survive. We have to understand." The crew split into smaller teams, each responsible for scanning different aspects of the plateau and the structures. Some focused on environmental changes, others on the strange light sequences and energy patterns that seemed to shift unpredictably. Every discovery added a piece to the puzzle. Lieutenant Jairo Tanaka, the communications officer, tapped on his tablet. "Captain, I think the alien warlords communicate through these structures. The holograms and energy fields are like messages encoded in light and frequency. They want us to solve them. They want to see how we respond." Aaron smiled. "Then we will respond. Humans are excellent at interpreting patterns. We have solved puzzles, codes, and strategies for thousands of years. Today, we do the same, but on a galactic scale." Hours passed as the crew explored deeper into the plateau. They discovered an open area filled with floating crystal formations, each emitting soft hums at different frequencies. At first, the hums seemed chaotic, but Aaron encouraged the crew to listen carefully. Lena, the youngest cadet, tilted her head, her eyes scanning the floating crystals. "Captain, I think the hums are connected. If we touch the crystals in the right order, the tones create a sequence." Aaron approached, intrigued. "Go ahead, Lena. Let's see what happens." With careful precision, Lena touched the crystals in a pattern she felt intuitively. Slowly, the hums began to harmonize, creating a sequence that echoed through the plateau. The team watched as the floating formations shifted, revealing a hidden path leading further into the plateau. "Excellent," Aaron said. "This is exactly what I expected. The warlords design systems that reward observation and creativity. They do not rely on force. Humans excel in situations like this. Adaptability is our strength." The path led them to a massive chamber carved into the plateau's crystalline base. Inside, holographic displays floated in midair, showing complex geometrical patterns and sequences. It was a simulation, a teaching system designed to challenge cognitive ability and teamwork. "Captain, look at this," Mara said, pointing to one of the displays. "It's like a war game, but the rules are different. The goal isn't to destroy an opponent. It's to achieve balance, optimize resources, and reach a solution without conflict." Aaron nodded thoughtfully. "The warlords of Zarkos respect strategy. They respect intelligence. Their savage tactics are not about harm, they are about testing the mind. Today, we learn from them." The crew began to work together, analyzing the holographic simulations. Each scenario required a unique approach. In one simulation, energy nodes had to be connected in a precise sequence, but every connection altered the behavior of the others. In another, virtual drones moved unpredictably, and the crew had to anticipate their patterns to navigate successfully. Aaron observed quietly, offering guidance when necessary. "Remember, this is not about rushing," he said. "We must predict, plan, and adjust. If we fail, we analyze why and try again. That is the essence of human strategy." Hours turned into an entire day as the crew immersed themselves in the simulations. Mistakes were frequent, but learning was rapid. Each era revealed patterns and principles, giving the team insight into the alien logic. By evening, they had solved several of the most complex simulations, revealing deeper layers of the chamber and unlocking new paths for exploration. Gyro leaned back, wiping sweat from his brow. "Captain, these puzzles, they're amazing. The aliens built a system that forces you to think differently, to cooperate, to anticipate consequences. But the best part is that humans are adapting faster than I thought possible." Aaron smiled. "Exactly. That is what the warlords do not fully understand. Humans do not rely solely on instinct. We learn, we improve, we create solutions they cannot predict. That is why, even in a galaxy full of advanced species, humanity remains formidable." Night fell on Zarkos, and the crystalline plateau glowed softly under the twin moons. The crew set up a temporary camp within the chamber, their minds buzzing with observations and ideas. Aaron stood outside, looking up at the sky. He thought about history, about Earth, about the legends of strategy and conquest that had inspired him since childhood. Genghis Khan, Sun Tzu, Alexander the Great, they had all mastered the art of strategy, of understanding not just their enemies but the environment, the psychology, and the consequences of every decision. "Maybe that's why they call me Khan," Aaron murmured to himself. "Not because I conquer, but because I think, observe, and adapt, just like them." The next morning, the crew returned to the crystalline maze. Today, the stakes were higher. The alien warlords had left a new challenge, a simulation unlike any before, designed to test human creativity, resourcefulness, and collaboration. The team paused at the entrance, reviewing their plan. Aaron addressed them firmly. "This is a critical step. Today, we demonstrate that humans can master even the most extreme strategies. We anticipate, we learn, we adjust. Every failure teaches us something. Every success prepares us for the next level. Remember, our goal is not to compete with force. Our goal is to demonstrate intelligence, adaptability, and teamwork." The chamber ahead was enormous, filled with floating holographic constructs that shifted constantly. Patterns appeared and disappeared, changing faster than the human eye could follow. Each member of the team was assigned a task. Some monitored the holograms, others adjusted environmental controls, while a few focused on predicting patterns in the shifting constructs. It was exhausting. Mistakes were inevitable. Early on, the crew misinterpreted one sequence, triggering a reset of the simulation. But instead of frustration, Aaron encouraged calm analysis. "We learn, that is all. The simulation is not an enemy, it is a teacher." Hours passed, and slowly the crew began to synchronize. Each member anticipated the other's actions, adjusting in real time to the constantly shifting constructs. Mara identified a repeating pattern in the holograms. Gyro predicted the next movements of the constructs based on energy signatures. Lena suggested a sequence that allowed multiple paths to converge. "Almost there," Aaron said. "Focus, think ahead, anticipate the system, and act as one. Humans succeed when we combine intelligence with cooperation." Finally, the simulation reached its conclusion. The construct stabilized, forming a pattern that resembled a key, a symbolic representation of mastery. The chamber's walls pulsed with a soft light, acknowledging their success. The crew cheered quietly, exhausted but elated. They had not just survived the simulation, they had mastered it. Aaron looked around at his team, pride swelling in his chest. "This is the power of humanity," he said. "We adapt, we learn, and we overcome. The warlords of Zarkos will understand this soon enough." As the team rested, Aaron reflected on what they had learned. The alien warlords were brilliant, yes, but their brilliance was predictable in its logic. Humans were different. We improvise. We innovate. We cooperate in ways no algorithm or alien mind could fully anticipate. By the end of the second day, the crew had charted much of the plateau, mapped the energy fields, and understood the logic of the initial simulations. More challenges awaited, but they were ready. Every obstacle had revealed a piece of the alien strategy. Every puzzle had strengthened their minds and their bonds as a team. Aaron stood once more outside, looking at the crystalline tower in the distance. "This is just the beginning," he said quietly. "The real tests are ahead. But if we continue to think, to observe, and to adapt, there is no limit to what humans can achieve." The stars reflected in the crystal formations, and for the first time the humans of the Indomitable felt not fear, but anticipation. Zarkos was a planet of extreme strategies, designed to challenge every part of them. And yet, as they had learned, the greatest strength of humans was not physical might, but intelligence, cooperation, and the unyielding will to rise above any challenge. And so, with the sun rising over the crystalline plateau, Captain Aaron Khan and his crew prepared for the next stage of the alien warlord's ultimate tests. The next morning on Zarkos was unlike any the crew had seen before. The twin suns rose slowly over the crystalline plateau, casting a warm, golden light that reflected off the floating structures in dazzling patterns. Captain Aaron Khan stood at the edge of the plateau, his eyes scanning the horizon. Today, the alien warlord's challenges would begin in earnest. Aaron gathered his crew. "Today, we face the first real test," he said, his voice calm but commanding. "The previous simulations prepared us, but now we must apply everything we have learned in a situation where observation, creativity, and teamwork are the only tools we have. No shortcuts, no assumptions. Remember, this is not about speed or brute strength. It is about intelligence, collaboration, and adaptability." The crew nodded, feeling the mix of excitement and tension in the air. They had already navigated the crystalline maze and mastered the initial simulations. But Aaron reminded them that the real tests would be unpredictable, designed to challenge them in ways they could not anticipate. Mara Singh, the navigation officer, activated her portable scanner. "Captain, I'm detecting multiple energy zones ahead. They're overlapping and moving. This area seems dynamic. It's not static like the plateau. We'll need constant adjustments to move safely." Aaron nodded. "Good. Then we adapt as we go. Remember what we learned yesterday. Observe patterns, predict changes, and work together. The environment itself is part of the test." The crew stepped forward, each movement deliberate. The terrain had changed overnight. Floating platforms shifted gently above the ground, glowing softly. Holographic symbols hovered in the air, displaying sequences of light and motion that seemed random at first glance. But Aaron knew better. "Nothing here is random," he said. "Every detail is intentional. Look for patterns, find logic, and anticipate consequences." At the first obstacle, a series of floating platforms formed a complex path across a glowing chasm. The platforms shifted unpredictably, rising and lowering as if alive. One misstep could leave a human stranded. Aaron surveyed the sequence. "We cannot cross by force," he said. "We must analyze the timing." Mara mapped the platform movements. Jero identify energy fields that affect stability. Lena observed the sequence patterns. The rest of you be ready to adapt. Minutes passed as the team studied the platforms. Slowly, they began to see a pattern. The floating platforms followed a repeating sequence, though with slight variations designed to confuse intruders. By coordinating their movements and communicating constantly, the crew began to cross one by one. It was not fast, but it was effective. And it reinforced a lesson Aaron had emphasized. Humans could adapt to any challenge if they observed carefully, communicated clearly, and anticipated changes. Beyond the platforms lay the next stage, a field of shifting light patterns that created optical illusions. The crew could barely distinguish solid ground from illusionary paths. Aaron stepped forward. "This is a test of perception and patience," he said. "Do not rush. Observe the environment. Trust your instincts but verify with your instruments. We move only when we are certain. The crew proceeded cautiously, using scanners and each other's guidance to navigate safely. Every successful step reinforced their confidence and teamwork. By the time they reached the other side, the optical field had shifted entirely, leaving a clear path for their progress. "What's next?" Lena asked, wiping sweat from her brow. Aaron scanned the area ahead. "The final stage of this test is a combination challenge. The warlords want to see if humans can integrate all the lessons we've learned: observation, prediction, creativity, and cooperation. It will not be easy." They approached a massive chamber embedded within the plateau, its entrance framed by crystalline pillars that reflected the sunlight in brilliant hues. Holographic panels floated in the air, displaying symbols, sequences, and moving constructs. The chamber itself seemed alive, responding to every movement and adjustment made by the crew. Aaron led the team inside. "This is a dynamic simulation," he explained. "Every action will influence the environment. If we work independently, we fail. If we collaborate, we have a chance. Divide tasks, communicate constantly, and anticipate outcomes." The crew quickly organized. Mara and Gyro focused on scanning and predicting sequences. Lena monitored changing energy fields. The others adjusted controls and coordinated movements. Every team member had a role, and the key was synchronization. At first, the environment reacted unpredictably. Holographic constructs shifted and reformed, creating new paths and obstacles. The crew's initial attempts failed, but Aaron remained calm. "Analyze, learn, adapt. Each failure teaches us something. Humans succeed because we learn from mistakes." Over hours, the crew began to synchronize. Mara discovered a repeating sequence in the holographic panels. Gyro predicted how the constructs would shift in response to movement. Lena identified subtle cues in the energy fields that indicated changes before they happened. The team's actions became fluid, almost instinctive. Finally, they reached the center of the chamber. A massive, glowing, key-like structure rose from the floor, floating in midair. The simulation had recognized their progress, acknowledging that the team had mastered the combined challenge. Aaron looked around at his crew, pride evident in his eyes. "This is what makes humans remarkable," he said. "We face complex challenges, adapt, innovate, and overcome. Even the most advanced simulations cannot anticipate every human response. That is our strength." The crew cheered quietly, not out of celebration but relief and accomplishment. They had not only survived the test, they had mastered it, proving that cooperation and intelligence could overcome even the most intricate challenges. Outside the chamber, the plateau shimmered as if acknowledging their success. The alien warlords had designed these tests not to harm, but to observe, to learn whether humans possessed the qualities they valued most: ingenuity, adaptability, and unity. Aaron gathered the team. "Today we proved something important," he said. "We showed that humans can face extreme challenges and find solutions where others might fail. We are not just surviving, we are learning, adapting, and growing stronger. This is the first true test of humanity." Mara smiled. "Captain, I think the warlords underestimated us. They designed these challenges thinking humans would fail, but we've adapted faster than they expected." Aaron nodded. "Perhaps, but we must remain vigilant. The tests ahead will be more complex. The warlords will increase the difficulty, and we must continue to adapt and innovate. Complacency is our enemy, even after success." As the sun set over the crystalline plateau, the crew set up camp near the chamber. Exhausted but exhilarated, they reflected on the lessons of the day. Every obstacle had reinforced the importance of observation, communication, and adaptability. Every puzzle had strengthened their confidence and teamwork. Aaron stood outside, gazing at the twin moons rising above the horizon. The night sky shimmered with stars, and the crystalline formations reflected the light in a kaleidoscope of colors. He thought about humanity's history, about the leaders and thinkers who had overcome impossible odds. Genghis Khan had mastered strategy through observation and adaptation. Sun Tzu had emphasized the importance of intelligence over brute force. Humans had always survived by thinking, learning, and cooperating. Even here, on an alien world, Aaron murmured, those principles hold true. The crew slept under the soft glow of the crystalline plateau, preparing mentally and physically for the next stage of their trials. Tomorrow would bring new tests, new puzzles, and new opportunities to demonstrate the power of the human mind. And as Captain Aaron Khan watched over them, he felt a quiet confidence. Zarkos was a world of extreme strategy, designed to push species to their limits. But humans had a unique advantage: creativity, intelligence, and the ability to cooperate in ways no simulation, no system, and no alien warlord could fully predict. The real challenge had only just begun. But for now, humanity had passed its first true test. And in doing so, they had shown the galaxy something remarkable. When humans face the impossible, they do not panic, flee, or give up. They think, adapt, and overcome. Tomorrow, the warlord's challenges would increase, but Captain Aaron Khan and his crew were ready. They had proven that human ingenuity could rise above any obstacle, even in the most alien and unpredictable environments. For the first time since arriving on Zarkos, the crew felt not fear, but anticipation. The plateau stretched before them, full of mysteries, puzzles, and challenges. And together, as humans, they would face them all and emerge stronger for it. The next morning, the crystalline plateau of Zarkos was bathed in pale golden light. Mist from the plateau's glowing energy fields hung low, twisting and turning like restless spirits. Captain Aaron Khan stood on a high ridge overlooking the field where their next test would take place. The alien warlords had designed this challenge differently. It was not a single maze or simulation. It was a combination of puzzles, shifting terrain, and multiple moving systems, all interacting simultaneously. Today, the challenge is more complex, Aaron told his crew, his voice steady. We are outnumbered by the number of variables. The warlords have set up overlapping sequences, obstacles, and moving structures. No one person could solve this alone. We must work as a single unit. Every mind, every skill matters. Mara Singh adjusted her scanner, analyzing the energy fields across the plateau. Captain, there are at least 6 overlapping zones of activity. Each zone reacts to movement, light, and sound. If we trigger one incorrectly, it could reset the others. It's a network of tests. Aaron nodded. Exactly, that's the point. The warlords want to see how humans handle situations where the odds seem stacked against them. But we've faced complex simulations before. We adapt, we analyze, we innovate. The crew assembled at the base of the plateau. Their strategy was clear: split into smaller teams, each handling a different zone while constantly communicating with one another. Coordination would be key. Remember, Aaron said, we are not rushing. Observe patterns, anticipate changes, and share information. No one acts alone. Every failure teaches us something. Every success brings us closer to understanding the system. The first zone was a series of floating platforms connected by shimmering light bridges. The bridges flickered on and off unpredictably, creating what seemed like impossible gaps. Lena approached first, studying the timing of the bridges. Captain, she said, I think they follow a rhythm. It's not exact, but we can predict it if we coordinate our steps carefully. Aaron smiled. Good observation, use it. Team, follow Lena's lead and communicate constantly. Slowly, they moved across the first zone. Timing, observation, and coordination allowed them to cross safely, despite the ever-changing platforms. Each member reinforced the other's actions, adjusting their movements to match shifts in the bridges. Beyond the platforms, the terrain became even more complicated. Energy nodes floated midair, emitting pulses that created illusions of solid ground. Some pulses responded to movement, others were linked to sound. The crew had to think carefully before stepping forward. "This is a test of anticipation," Aaron said. "We must observe, predict, and act together. Rushing will only create mistakes." Mara adjusted her instruments, detecting patterns in the pulses. "Captain, the pulses form a repeating sequence every few seconds. If we synchronize our movements with the sequence, we can move across without triggering resets." Aaron nodded. "Excellent. Communicate the timing to the rest of the team. We move as one." Step by step, the crew advanced. Their movements became a coordinated dance. Each member anticipated the others, moving in harmony with the energy pulses and floating nodes. By the time they reached the other side, the team was exhausted but exhilarated. "This is what they call being outnumbered," Lena said, catching her breath. "The number of obstacles is greater than our numbers, but we made it through." Aaron placed a hand on her shoulder. "Exactly, and that is the lesson. Humans can succeed when outnumbered, not by brute force but by intelligence, communication, and teamwork. The warlords expect us to struggle. We show them that struggle makes us stronger." The next zone presented a different challenge. A large chamber of holographic projections created an entire landscape of moving mountains, rivers, and structures. The projections shifted dynamically based on the crew's actions. One wrong step could collapse paths or block progress entirely. "Captain," Gyro said, "this is like a full-scale simulation but interactive. The projections respond to movement and strategy. Every decision has consequences in real time." Aaron surveyed the chamber. "Then we act with care, analyze, predict, and collaborate. Every member has a role. We succeed as a team or we fail together." The crew split into smaller units. Some monitored the projections and reported shifts. Others tested paths, carefully observing cause and effect. Slowly, they learned the system. Each trial revealed hidden patterns. The projections were not random. They were designed to test reasoning, adaptability, and foresight. Hours passed as the crew worked tirelessly. Each challenge required the integration of multiple skills: logic, prediction, timing, and creative problem-solving. Failures were frequent, but each one taught something new. By evening, they had reached the core of the chamber. A massive holographic sphere hovered in the center, pulsating with energy. Patterns swirled across its surface, representing the interconnection of all zones they had passed. Aaron knew this was the final test of the day, a challenge that required combining every lesson they had learned so far. "Everyone," he said, "this is it. Every observation, every calculation, every pattern we've learned comes together here. The sphere represents the system as a whole. We must anticipate, adapt, and act in unison." The team positioned themselves around the sphere. Mara analyzed the pulse sequences. Gyro monitored structural changes in the holograms. Lena suggested connections that others might have missed. The remaining crew members adjusted movement and communicated constantly. At first, the sphere's patterns seemed chaotic. Every action they took altered sequences in unexpected ways. Frustration threatened to set in, but Aaron remained calm. "Patience," he said. "Observe, learn, and adjust. Humans thrive in complexity, not simplicity. Complexity is our strength." Gradually, the team began to synchronize. Each member's actions complemented the others. They identified hidden cycles in the patterns and anticipated changes before they occurred. The holographic sphere responded positively, stabilizing its movements as the crew's coordination improved. Finally, the sphere split into multiple smaller shapes, each aligning perfectly with the crew's positions. The system recognized their mastery, and the chamber's energy shifted to reveal a safe exit. The team stepped outside, exhausted but triumphant. They had faced a challenge designed to outnumber them in complexity, yet they had succeeded through intelligence, adaptability, and teamwork. Aaron looked at his crew with pride. Today, we proved something extraordinary. Even when outnumbered by obstacles, we remain unbroken. Humans do not rely on force alone. We adapt, we learn, and we collaborate. That is why we succeed where others might fail. Mara smiled. Captain, the warlords may have expected us to struggle, but we turned complexity into an advantage. Every challenge made us stronger. Aaron nodded. Exactly. The more complex the challenge, the more humans can demonstrate their greatest qualities: observation, creativity, and cooperation. That is what makes us formidable, not in battle but in intellect and strategy. As the sun set, casting long shadows across the crystalline plateau, the crew set up camp. They reflected on the lessons of the day. Every obstacle had tested not only their skill but also their unity. Every puzzle had strengthened their trust in one another. Aaron stood apart from the group for a moment, gazing at the horizon. The alien warlords' challenges had increased in complexity, yet humanity had met them with ingenuity and perseverance. He thought about the legends of human strategy on Earth, leaders who had overcome impossible odds through intelligence and adaptability. Even here, he murmured to himself, on a world designed to test every limit, humans prove that we can rise above challenges that seem impossible. The more the odds are stacked against us, the more we can show our strength. The crew rested under the soft glow of the plateau, their minds buzzing with ideas and observations. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, even more difficult and unpredictable. But for now, they had shown that humans could thrive even when outnumbered, turning apparent disadvantages into opportunities for innovation. And as the stars reflected in the crystalline formations, Aaron knew one thing. The alien warlords may have created the most complex, intricate systems in the galaxy, but they had underestimated one quality above all: human resilience. The humans of the Indomitable had proven again that no matter how complex or overwhelming a challenge, they could rise to meet it. They were intelligent, adaptable, and united. Outnumbered they might be, but unbroken they remained. With night falling over the plateau, the crew slept soundly, preparing for the next stage of the trials. The alien warlord's greatest challenges were still ahead. But Captain Aaron Khan and his team had shown that the human mind, when combined with teamwork and determination, could face anything and emerge victorious. Humanity had turned complexity into strength. And on Zarkos, that strength would continue to grow. The morning light spilled across the crystalline plateau of Zarkos, casting long, multicolored reflections that danced across the floating structures. Captain Aaron Khan stood at the edge of the plateau, gazing at the vast network of challenges laid out before him. Today would be the final test, a culmination of all the puzzles, simulations, and obstacles that the alien warlords had designed. "This is it," Aaron said quietly, addressing his crew. "Everything we've learned, everything we've practiced, comes together today. The warlords have designed this challenge to be the ultimate measure of our intelligence, our creativity, and our ability to work as one. But we are ready. Humanity is ready." The crew gathered around, feeling a mixture of excitement and anticipation. They had faced impossible mazes, complex simulations, and shifting terrain that seemed alive. They had been outnumbered by challenges and variables. And yet each time they had adapted, learned, and overcome. Today would be no different. Mara Singh activated her scanner. "Captain, the final test area is enormous. Multiple zones overlap, and the energy patterns are interconnected. Every action we take in one zone affects the others. It's a living puzzle," Aaron nodded. "Then we approach it like we always have, calmly, carefully, and together. Observe, communicate, and anticipate. Remember, failure is not defeat. It is an opportunity to learn and adjust." The team stepped forward, entering the first zone of the challenge. The ground beneath them shifted subtly, responding to movement. Floating platforms, holographic walls, and shifting energy fields created an environment that demanded constant attention. One wrong step could disrupt the flow of the challenge, forcing them to rethink their approach. "This is a test of coordination," Aaron said. "Every member has a role. We succeed only if we act as one. Observe the patterns, predict the sequences, and communicate continuously." Lena, the youngest cadet, moved cautiously across the first platform. "Captain, I see a rhythm in the floating energy fields. If we time our steps carefully, we can cross without triggering resets." "Good," Aaron replied. "Share the pattern with the rest of the team." We moved together. Step by step, the crew advanced. Their movements became synchronized, almost like a single organism. Mara monitored the energy fields, predicting their shifts before they occurred. Gyro observed holographic structures, anticipating their reactions to movement. Each member contributed, reinforcing the other's actions. When they reached the center of the first zone, a new challenge revealed itself. A holographic simulation of a complex city, with moving platforms, shifting lights, and sequences of symbols floating in the air. The simulation responded to their choices in real time. Every decision altered the environment, creating a dynamic puzzle that seemed impossible to solve at first glance. Aaron studied the simulation. "This is the final integration test," he said. "Every obstacle, every puzzle we've faced so far is part of this system. We cannot rely on intuition alone. We must observe, analyze, and anticipate. Every action has a consequence." The crew divided their tasks. Mara and Gyro focused on analyzing the simulation, identifying patterns in the shifting structures. Lena observed subtle visual cues, noticing sequences that others had missed. The remaining crew members coordinated movements, ensuring that changes in one part of the simulation did not create setbacks in another. Hours passed as the team worked tirelessly. The simulation tested not only their intelligence but also their patience, creativity, and teamwork. Mistakes were made, but each failure offered insight into the system. The crew adapted quickly, applying lessons from previous tests and adjusting their strategies in real time. "Captain," Gyro said, pointing to a sequence of symbols, "I think the simulation is responsive to combinations of actions, not just single steps. If we coordinate multiple actions simultaneously, we can stabilize the system." Aaron's eyes lit up. "Exactly. That's what I suspected. This is not about individual brilliance, it's about coordinated human ingenuity. Team, we synchronize our actions. Every move must complement the others. Together, we can succeed." With careful planning and precise execution, the crew began to stabilize the simulation. The holographic city gradually shifted into a coherent structure, patterns aligning and sequences locking into place. The environment responded positively, opening new paths and revealing hidden connections between zones. As they progressed, the challenges became more abstract. Energy fields moved unpredictably, platforms shifted at varying speeds, and holographic constructs changed form constantly. But the crew's coordination improved with each step. Communication was flawless, observation became instinctive. Every member anticipated the next move, adjusting their actions to support the team as a whole. "This is incredible," Lena whispered, watching the simulations respond. "It's like the environment itself is alive, and we're learning to work with it instead of against it." "Exactly," Aaron replied. "The warlords designed this system to test adaptability, but humans excel in situations where others might struggle. We observe, we innovate, and we collaborate. That is why we succeed." The final stage of the test awaited, a massive crystalline tower at the center of the plateau. The tower pulsed with energy, reflecting the cumulative progress of the team. Holographic pathways spiraled upward, changing with every step they took. Reaching the top required solving simultaneous puzzles, predicting sequences, and coordinating perfectly. Aaron addressed the crew. This is it. Every lesson, every strategy, every collaboration comes together here. We climb as a team, we solve as a team, and we triumph as a team. Remember, our strength lies not in individual brilliance, but in human unity and intelligence. Step by step, the team ascended the tower. Platforms shifted in response to their weight, energy fields changed according to movement, and holographic sequences responded to their choices. It was the ultimate test of coordination and strategy. At one point, a misstep caused a sequence to reset. Mara quickly analyzed the pattern and adjusted their timing. Jero identified the next sequence before it fully formed. Lena suggested a subtle modification that aligned all the sequences, allowing the team to continue without further disruption. Adaptation, Aaron said calmly. That is the key. We learn, we adjust, and we continue. Nothing can stop humans when we think and act together. Finally, after what felt like hours of careful coordination, the crew reached the top of the tower. The crystalline structure glowed with a brilliant light, and a holographic interface appeared, displaying a series of symbols that formed a complete pattern. Aaron approached the interface and activated the final sequence. The symbols aligned perfectly, the energy stabilized, and the tower pulsed with acknowledgement. The alien warlord's system recognized the team's mastery. The crew cheered quietly, not out of triumph over an opponent, but in recognition of their achievement. They had faced the ultimate challenge of Zarkos, a system designed to test intelligence, creativity, and collaboration to the utmost limit, and they had succeeded. Aaron looked out over the plateau. This is humanity at its best, he said. We face impossible odds, adapt to complexity, and innovate where others might fail. Today, we have shown that intelligence, cooperation, and perseverance are our greatest strengths. Mara smiled. Captain, the warlords designed the tests to see if we could think, predict, and act together. We've exceeded their expectations, I'm sure of it. Aaron nodded. Perhaps, but it doesn't matter what they expected. What matters is what we've learned. Humans can face any challenge, no matter how complex, and rise above it. That is our power. As the sun set over the crystalline plateau, casting long, golden reflections across the towers and floating platforms, the crew set up camp. They reflected on the journey, the mazes, the simulations, the moving platforms, and the complex sequences that had tested them in every way imaginable. Captain, Lena said softly, I think I understand now. The warlords didn't just want to test us. They wanted to teach us something. They designed challenges that forced us to become better, smarter, faster, more coordinated, and we did it. Aaron placed a hand on her shoulder. Exactly. Every challenge is a lesson. Every obstacle is an opportunity to grow. Humans have always thrived by learning, adapting, and cooperating. Today, we've proven that again. Night fell over Zarkos, and the crystalline formations reflected the light of the twin moons. The plateau shimmered like a field of stars, and for the first time since their arrival, the humans felt not fear or uncertainty, but pride. They had faced the ultimate test and demonstrated the strength of the human mind. Aaron stood apart from the camp for a moment, gazing at the horizon. He thought about Earth, about the legends of strategy and leadership that had inspired him. Genghis Khan, Sun Tzu, and countless others who had overcome impossible odds through intelligence, observation, and adaptability. Humanity has always been remarkable, he whispered. Even in the face of overwhelming challenges, we adapt, we learn, and we rise. Today, Zarkos has witnessed that truth. The crew slept under the soft glow of the crystalline plateau, their minds and bodies ready for rest after the ultimate trial. Tomorrow, new challenges might arise and the galaxy would continue to test humanity. But one fact was clear. When humans face the impossible, they do not falter. They think, they innovate, and they triumph. Captain Aaron Khan looked at the stars above, feeling a deep sense of satisfaction. Humanity had faced the extreme strategies of a distant world and emerged stronger. Their triumph was not over an enemy, but over complexity, challenge, and the limits of perception. On Zarkos, among puzzles, shifting platforms, and living simulations, humans had proven their greatest truth. Intelligence, cooperation, and adaptability could overcome anything. And that truth would echo across the galaxy, wherever humans ventured next. Humanity had triumphed.